All right, let's talk about what angle of elevation and angle of depression mean in word problems. An angle of elevation is the angle formed by a horizontal line and a line of sight that is elevated. And remember, elevated means to go upward. Okay, so here's an example of an angle of elevation. Notice the angle is formed by a horizontal line at its base, at the bottom, and then the angle opens upward from that horizontal line. So angle of elevation opens upward. When they talk about line of sight is where you're looking. So if you were standing at this house looking up towards the plane, that would be your line of sight. And your line of sight would be forming an angle of elevation because you're here, you're looking upward, forming an angle. An angle of depression, on the other hand, is an angle formed by a horizontal line and the line of the sight that is depressed. When we say depressed, we mean pointing downward. So you start at a horizontal and go down from there to form an angle. Okay, so here is another example, the same picture, but an angle of depression would be if the plane was looking down at the house. So notice it's still formed by a horizontal line and a line of sight, but the line of sight is underneath the horizontal and the angle is opening downward. Angle of depression opens down, angle of elevation opens up. So in this drawing, let's find all of the angles of elevation and all of the angles of depression. So basically everywhere we have a horizontal line, there's a possibility of elevation or an angle of depression. So here we have a horizontal line. Notice we do have an angle formed with that line, and the angle is opening up. It's looking upward. So this would be an angle of elevation. So angle 6 is an angle of elevation. Right? Any more horizontal lines as we go up through the picture? Here's a horizontal line. Notice it has two different angles associated with it. There's the angle 5 down here, which notice is formed by looking down from that horizontal. Downward is an angle of depression. So angle 5 would be an angle of depression. We also, for that same horizontal line, notice we have an angle formed above it, or looking upward, angle 4. Notice that angle is formed when we open up from the horizontal line. So angle 4 is an angle of elevation because it's opening upward from that horizontal line. Finally, we have another horizontal at the top here with our bird. There is an angle formed with that line. Here's our angle. Notice the angle is formed by going down from that horizontal line, opening downward. So that angle, angle 3, would be an angle of depression. So angles 6 and angle 4 are angles of elevation. Angle 5 and angle 3 in this figure were angles of depression.